All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order at 11 a.m. And the first thing we're gonna do is stand for the pledge of allegiance. Ready? Yeah. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so thanks everybody for joining us. Okay. Good to go, Eric?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Awesome. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is just go around the table and share your name and what grade level you are. I am the director of school improvement. Go this way.
Eric Osborne, board member. Kevin Bradley, board member. Logan Edmonds, I'm a senior.
Tony Clemens, I'm also a senior.
Eliana Tapia, I'm a seventh grader.
Riley Booth, I'm a sixth grader.
Bailey Booth, eighth grader.
Roan Nunez, I'm seventh grade. Ben Lewis, I'm a seventh grader.
I'm Peyton Hayward, I'm a seventh grader. Christy Town, I'm a senior.
Addie Fox, and I'm a ninth grader.
Capri Rolson, I'm a freshman.
I'm Mr. Vieira, Director of Human Resources at the district office.
All right. So Mr. Vieira is going to go over the process and then we'll jump into asking some questions and engage in some discussion.
So I'll go over a script I have kind of outlines the process. But again, good morning. Thank you for taking time to join us today. Purpose of this listening session is to gather your feedback regarding the potential appointment of our interim superintendent, Dr. Joel Hoff, to the role of permanent superintendent. The school board values hearing directly from students as part of its decision-making process, and your perspectives are an important part of that. So two school board members introduced themselves already, but again, Mr. Osborne and Mr. Bradley are here today, and they're going to listen carefully to your feedback. So in terms of format, we have about 45 minutes available. And so for the process, you guys will have an opportunity to respond to some pre-developed questions. If time allows, after all the questions have been asked and everyone has an opportunity to speak, we will open the floor for additional comments. So our goal today is to listen carefully and ensure your voices are part of the board's consideration process. Thank you again for being here and contributing. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay, so let's see if I can get that to happen. Okay. How many of you know what interim means? Raise your hand if you know what interim means. Okay, let's unpack that. What does it mean?
Based on my knowledge, like short term or for a certain set amount of time.
Yeah.
I just know it's temporary.
Yep, that's totally right. Okay, so it was a year ago now, but for a year and a half, Dr. Hoff has been in the position of being our interim, so a temporary superintendent. Who knows what the superintendent does?
They're in charge of everybody.
They're in charge, yeah.
I was gonna say like kind of like leads the school district maybe.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what the superintendent does. So he's been in this position of temporarily leading the school district for the last year, right? And so now what the board is working towards doing is appointing him to being the permanent superintendent. But as part of that process, they want to hear from students about what you want and what you've seen of Dr. Hoff so far, and things like that. So that's why we're here today, is for you guys to have a voice in that process. So what has been your experience so far with Dr. Hoff?
Every morning not every morning, but every month in leadership, recently he's taken initiative to try and meet with us, and obviously you've been there too, but he comes down at like 8 a.m. and he just talks with us about like what's going well, what's not going well, how are you guys feeling about certain things, is there any area for improvement that we could kind of tackle, and it's really helpful because while us students can't do much and we try to, it's a lot easier to do stuff when we have admin backing us. So like that kind of taking incentive and actually wanting to get involved with the students and not just like the school district, like as far as like admin and like adult leadership goes, is kind of helpful, I would say, if that makes sense.
He's also shown that he cares about the students a lot, and he's helped us see the many resources that are available for us to communicate with like people who are higher up. He also helped us a lot when we had an issue we brought up to him about our school bathrooms, and like as soon as possible, they all got fixed. So he really took initiative on that.
But when we were getting ready for our winter show of Carrie and that got like struck down, he came in and like talked to us about it and was like trying to figure out different ways to help out with that.
In Avid, he came in and like talked to us about what like we want to be like improved on in the middle school, or like what's like something that we wish would be better, like about like vandalism in like the bathrooms. And we talked to him about that, and he understood that it was like a problem. And so he was like, it was really nice that he was able to come in and like he was able to talk to us about it, and like we could tell him what we like could improve on.
Yeah, I think most of that shows that he's like perfect for his position because he doesn't only go with who like grown-ups who think they know everything. He also like goes inside of the schools and talks to the children or students that are in the school and they experience everything so that he can take like a better like view of the school instead of just from his perspective things.
And like I'm not quite in high school yet, but like when I go to the high school games and stuff, he's always there helping set it up, put stuff together, being there, and if something goes wrong, he's just up there to do stuff with it.
Anybody else on this one?
Okay. All right, so now we're gonna ask about what have you noticed that Dr. Hoff prioritizes when he's like making decisions for the district? What's been emphasized in his leadership, would you say?
Improving the schools. That's like, I think the biggest one. Every time he comes in, he's always trying to figure out how we can improve the schools, and he's told us about his plans that he has to make them better.
He's also really like focused on it because as Peyton said, when he came to talk to us in Avid, he got like, I don't know, a notification on his phone and it was like, you could kind of tell it was a little important, but he turned it off immediately and like continued to like listen to us talk, which I thought was like very respectful.
You guys as students know like the needs of our buildings and our classrooms better than anyone. What would you say? Did you say there's specific actions or anything with Dr. Hoff that align to those needs?
Probably him helping out with all the bathroom stuff.
Taking care of the school.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, like we were also talking about it, but like he was sharing with us just some problems, yeah, at the middle school and the high school. But not just only improving the systems that we have, like maybe the ceiling at the middle school I've heard about, and then there's just other like small stuff around that like everyone's kind of saying. But I mean, he has ideas for the future too, which I thought was cool. Like he was talking about maybe a future training center, which I know the whole like bond thing, and that's completely different, but I still think it's cool that he's like not only trying to improve what we currently have, but expand on anything that we haven't quite hit yet, which I thought was really.
But he is very realistic with like, he's straightforward with us about what's possible and what's not possible too.
So how does he compare to, you've all been around when other superintendents were here. Did past superintendents interact with you in this way? Or-
He definitely, yeah, I think he connects with us a lot more, at least as far as leadership goes, like, and just like the recent admin have been willing to come here more. And like actually hear from us, I feel.
Okay, moving on. How effectively do you feel Dr. Hoff has built relationships with students in particular, since that's who we're talking to today, but also families, staff, and the community? Are there any actions that you've noticed?
I think he is such a friendly man. He is like he comes to lunch here all the time, and he's
Nacho
always
Tuesday.
yeah, Nacho
He comes every
Tuesday.
single Tuesday for nachos.
And he's always talking to people, making conversations. And I think that him also like going through and like completing what he like says he's going to also helps us like trust him.
Yeah, and like when during school hours, like when we're walking down the hall. And if he's like walking around the school, just checking on everything, if like he sees someone, like he'll just say hi. And he'll ask like, how's your day going? And like, that always brings a smile on my face because then it shows me that he really cares about our school and like improvements that could be made.
I know that actions speak louder than words, but I have never heard a bad thing about him. And one of the cool things he has done is you mentioned this, but when he came in to talk to us about the carry cancellations, he was very honest. He gave us all his reasons why. He took the time out of his day to answer all of our questions because we were all very upset. And I appreciated that.
Moving on. What components of Dr. Hoff's communication have you appreciated, and is there anything you'd like to see more of?
Communication could be email, maybe something you heard from your teachers or through Mr. Hayes, or Mr. Huffman. Anything that might have been passed down and heard.
If you can't think of anything, what do you want to hear?
Well, I mean, like based on what everyone has been saying, like we're having a lot more admin meetings and we are like in contact with admin more. And I feel like I don't know the reason behind some of it, but like I'll see him and a couple other like people come into the classrooms and they'll like watch the class and how it goes. So I feel like, and I'm assuming like there's some emailing behind that. So I feel like his communication has been well and like just in-person conversation, that's always been well because he's like super easy to talk to. And he's a great listener. So as far as I can tell, like I don't think there was much communication on at least leadership's behalf for what we think he could work on, because he's been doing pretty great.
Right. How about, think about school safety and support. So how do you see Dr. Hoff fitting into that? And how do you feel about how things are going when it comes to student safety and support?
We brought up an issue about drugs in the parking lots, and he immediately was like, okay, we're gonna order cameras and put them back there. So that was definitely something that was really cool that he did.
Yeah, he was definitely intrigued on like when we told him about like the vandalism in bathrooms, like he wanted to know more about it and like wanted to try to solve problems on what we can do to stop it and like convince kids not to do it, and that's like the wrong thing.
I know that recently the high school had like a threat. And I've said this a million times, I'm sorry, I just talk so much about it, but like leadership, we start a class at like 7:55. And we'd all come to school and like they had already started talking about it and addressing it. And like when I do the announcements and the announcements in the morning, I'll go down there and then Debbie was like, oh no, you're good today. Because they had already started like making sure that everyone was aware of it. They had already gotten like the police involved to make sure that it wasn't gonna follow through and like actually happen. So I mean, they were super quick with it, in my opinion, and like addressing safety concerns.
About that, they also made sure to tell all the parents and like say if like their parents didn't feel comfortable, they could come pull their kids out, which I think is very important for like the parents feeling like their children are safe.
So you feel, how confident do you feel that when concerns are raised, they are heard and addressed? Scale, how about we do this little classroom activity, scale 1 to 5, what would you say? Where do you think that rates? You can hold it up on your fingers. Okay. Any follow-ups on this one?
So we have heard, not a ton, but enough that we're focused on, and we've heard it in all levels, elementary, middle, and high school, about bullying. And, initiatives that administration's taking and that you guys as students are taking. How do you think that's going? Do you think it's getting better? Do you think it's getting worse? Do you think it's staying the same?
I mean, based on like I have a sister who kind of struggled with that in recent years. Based on her feedback, I would say it's staying the same, or it's like getting slightly better, but that's because like time has passed and they've kind of gotten over it. But yeah, other people I've kind of heard it staying the same. However, we did mention it to Hoff, and it sounds like he's not okay with it, and like he does want to start like fixing it and incentives and all that.
I haven't had a lot of like experience with the bullying aspects of school life, but during the talk with Hoff after Carrie, we brought up that Carrie would be like good, like anti-bullying advertising kind of thing, and he was since we couldn't do Carrie, he was trying to figure out like other ways we could do, like if you, he was giving us other ideas, like, oh, if you wanted to do this to, if you wanted to start a group or do a campaign or, I don't know. Yeah.
So you don't feel like it's being ignored?
I think they know about it, and I think it's just a little difficult because it's such like a big issue.
Separate thing to,
There's
Yeah.
not really a way to fix bullying.
It's yeah. So
that comes from within us.
but I think they're trying their best right now, or at least they're trying to think of ways to solve it.
All right, now as the board works towards considering this permanent appointment of Dr. Hoff to the role of superintendent. What concerns or questions or what things do you want them to really think carefully about? This is your opportunity to have a voice in this, with that, whatever you're thinking they should care about, our school district leader.
This might be a little like, I mean, it's on topic, but it's kind of more of my opinion that they are turning Kirk County into like a 5A school or whatever, when I feel like there's other schools out there that have way more students than us, and they have like lots more kids and more, they just have more people, and we're like, not that we're small, but we're not as big as the other schools. So I was kind of confused why they would put us up in that 5A like title when we're like not that big.
Any thoughts on this one?
I mean, it's more like it's not necessarily connected to Hoff, but it would be cool if there's like any kind of way to take more action with like the arts and academics. I think it'd be cool if there was like more support for those students, because like athletics we're doing great, like, and I love that there's all the funding and all the, like, I love that there's effort there, but I do feel like it would be cool to see similar funding or effort or whatever it may be going towards arts and academics.
Kind of carrying on what she said, I think it would be great. It's really cool that I know he has all these plans for like the future. But starting with fixing what we do have and then moving on to the bigger things, because there's like the middle school, like they have a really bad roof. I know that should probably be fixed before like an athletic center. But I think starting with working on the things we do have, like in the auditorium, there's a lot that needs to be fixed. And I think that should be like a big first step.
Also, with funding specifically, like with the arts, we still have one teacher for both high school and middle school for both choir and band. And I know that's stressful on them. And then as well as when we went to regionals, we only brought about 5 students, and just it feels like there's a lot less going towards the arts like we were finally able to go this time because usually it's far away. In the past, we've had trouble getting buses for that. And then this year we weren't able to bring as much as we wanted. Bouncing off what Tony was saying with the like my main like experiences with theater, we have to do a lot of like self fundraising to be able to go to things like state or regionals to perform. And a lot of that is, I know last year we had a lot of problems with the buses. We couldn't get a bus for state, so we had to ask for teacher volunteers to drive some of the buses, so. And we were figuring out like a couple of days before state. And then that was really harsh on our funding because we were taking two short buses as long as paying as well as paying two teachers. And then we're still trying to figure out the gap for that fundraising.
What was the state event that you went to before?
Every year there's like the state thespian conference, I think it's just the high schools, like almost all the high schools that have like theater departments send kids to this big convention. You learn more about theater, you take some classes, you watch other high schools put on shows. It's just
You should go down to Ashland for the,
we have started doing that,
Okay.
It's
yes.
a separate fundraising.
Yeah,
program.
that's for the Shakespeare Festival, not necessarily state. State is in Salem.
And so, and it's also like about the buses, like, for seventh B and seventh A, so like seventh B has like more games than seventh A. Like they only had one away game and they didn't have many games and that like bumped a whole bunch of people. But also for like the buses, you're supposed to have a game, I think it was in no, not Culver. And then last minute, like the day before or before we left, it got canceled because we didn't have enough buses or bus drivers. And that like bumped a whole bunch of people. And also it's just like having sports and then having to catch up on a whole bunch of work. Like if you miss one thing, it drops your, like say like you have an A, it drops your grade down to like a C. And sometimes that puts like a lot of pressure on people, like having to get all their grades back up, keeping them up and just like having to stay on track. And so, and it can be also really stressful because you don't want your grade to get lower. And if you're doing sports, if you have like a certain grade that's below, like if you have a D, then I don't think you can play sports and they'll give you like a heads up. But if you don't get it up, then you can't play. So that can also be really stressful.
So I'm hearing that in a superintendent, you're looking for someone who's gonna pay attention to elevating the arts and solving problems. Paying attention to making sure there's busing available for all these extracurriculars. And then systems built in to support students engaging these to be strong academically still. Does that summarize some of that feedback? Anything else?
do roof.
New roof.
There was facilities.
There's
I think, yeah.
Yes.
With the buses, I know there's a shortage of buses, like bus drivers, so that's with the lack of buses, it's kind of hard to control right now, but
This is kind of like a little bit, maybe it's improving new systems. And I'm not sure, right now we currently have like Mr. Huffman, Mr. Bonner, and Hunter, and like just other kids, or Huntley, excuse me, but other kids, they'll kind of be out there and like in the parking lot but those teachers mainly, they'll patrol during like lunch and when school gets out and stuff. I think if there's a way we can get like actual people to like, maybe that's not their only job, but like, I just think parking lot safety might be a good idea. And I think like cameras could be good too, which we've kind of mentioned, but I don't know, I think that might be like a good idea because some students are not, they have other tendencies.
All right, last question is just, is there anything that you feel hasn't been captured in this discussion that you especially want the board to know about the appointment process of Dr. Hawk, or things to be paying attention to? Is there anything that's been missed that you want to make sure we capture?
With Carrie specifically, it was probably a week before auditions that we knew that we weren't able to do Carrie anymore. And that was a really big hit because we announced it like the year
Everyone had already
before.
like prepared for the auditions and everything.
And at that point, everyone had their monologues for Carrie and like songs for it. So some notice and communication, or like if there was that big of a gap, because we didn't know we had to approve it, or yeah, so we like finding those gaps ahead of time, or like just being more on top of that kind of thing.
I do want to say that day was, I'm pretty sure, one of the first times that Huff came in, and ever since then he's been really consistent. So I think that might have been like kind of a wake-up call, like, oh, we need better communication with the students.
At the start of the year, well, leadership had to go to it, but at the start of the year, I guess it was the board mostly, but like you guys created goals like with values and missions, or like mission statements. I feel like those are being followed pretty well, like relentless optimism, I know is one. Students first, I know is another one. I feel like those are going pretty well so far. At least as far as the admin goes, which is pretty good.
Else?
I don't think so.
No.
Right. Well, with that, thank you for taking time out of your day to come talk about this. It is really important. So we appreciate your input. And we will adjourn this meeting at 11:27. Thank you.